You're watching Crimebot Chronicles. If you're here, you're the kind of person who asks the questions no one wants answered. Tonight, we go beyond locked doors, beneath marble chapels, and into the crypt of secrets hidden for over 40 years. This is the story of a girl, of a disappearance, and of the most powerful religious institution in the world. Is Emanuela Orlandi hidden in the Vatican? June 22, 1983. The city buzzed like it always does. Tourists swarmed the fountains. Priests in white cassocks hurried between basilicas. And a girl, just 15 years old, finished her flute lesson and never came home. Her name was Emanuela Orlandi, daughter of a Vatican employee, a citizen of the world's smallest country. And then a ghost. She called her sister at 7:15 p.m. Her voice was distracted. A man had offered her a job, passing out Avon products at a fashion show. She said she'd think about it. That was the last time her voice was ever heard. By midnight, the Orlandi family knew something was wrong. They alerted the Vatican Gendarmerie and Rome police. But they were told the usual: she probably ran away. She'll come back. Only she didn't. And what followed was not a search. It was a descent into something darker. Days later, the phone rang. A man who called himself Mario said he had Emanuela. He spoke calmly, gave details only the family could know. He said she'd be released if the Vatican would help free Mehmet Ali Akka, the man who had attempted to assassinate Pope John Paul II just 2 years prior. Let that sink in. A teenage girl, held for ransom, for the life of the popes would-be killer. And then more calls came. Another man, another name, Pierluigi. They said she was with them, that she was safe. But always, the demand remained: release Akka. Who are these people? Why Emanuela? And why would the Vatican remain silent? To understand that, we need to look inside. Not into the tombs or libraries, but into the institution itself. The Vatican in the 1980s was not the serene, sacred state many imagine. It was in financial crisis. The Vatican Bank, tied to Banco Ambrosiano, collapsed under allegations of money laundering, mafia connections, secret Masonic lodges. Billions of lire vanished. And then, so did a girl. Pietro Orlandi, Emanuela's brother, has become the tireless voice behind the truth. I was 20 when she vanished. I believed then that the church would protect us, that they would help. But now I believe they are hiding her, or hiding what they did to her. In 2005, Italian journalist Emilio Rossi received documents allegedly linking Emanuela's disappearance to Banda della Magliana, Rome's notorious organized crime group. The theory? That she was taken as leverage, hostage for Vatican debts unpaid. It's twisted logic, but perhaps not implausible. Remember, in the world of power, a child becomes a pawn when the stakes are high enough. Then came something almost too disturbing to imagine. A secret Vatican document, leaked in 2017, listed over £250,000 in expenses allegedly spent on Emanuela's maintenance, lodging, food, medical costs, from 1983 to 1997. The implication? That Emanuela was alive for 14 years after her disappearance. Hidden, contained, inside Vatican territory. The Vatican called the document a fake, but never proved it. And the question remains: if fake, why so detailed? If real, why wasn't anyone arrested? We spoke to a former priest who left the clergy in 1990 and now lives under a new identity. He agreed to speak under the pseudonym Father Leone. There were whispers, stories you weren't supposed to hear. That Emanuela wasn't the first. That sometimes powerful men had weaknesses. And that the church, instead of purging them, buried their sins. Sometimes with stone. Sometimes with silence. There's a term for this: clerical narcissism. When institutions, especially religious ones, believe their survival justifies denial, deception, and even complicity. Dr. Alessia Manfredi, forensic psychologist and expert in institutional abuse, explains. Religious institutions often adopt a collective defense mechanism. They rationalize individual abuses as isolated sins, while emotionally detaching from the victims. In this mindset, Preserving the institution's image outweighs the value of a child's life. It is not malice. It is moral cowardice masked as piety. In 2019, the Vatican, under mounting pressure, opened 2 tombs in the Teutonic Cemetery, after an anonymous tip pointed to the statue of an angel holding a scroll, requiescat in pace. The tombs were ancient. They were empty. Not even bones of those who had been buried there centuries ago. And beneath a nearby trapdoor, thousands of human remains in bone chambers. It was unidentified. It's impossible not to feel the weight of that. If you want to hide one girl's bones, what better place? A Vatican spokesperson told media that forensic testing would take time. That was in 2019. It's now 2025. Still no results. Still no closure. Theories have stacked over the decades like cobblestones in an old Roman alley. One theory suggests Emanuela was kidnapped by an internal Vatican figure, someone high-ranking who abused his power and her. When the situation threatened exposure, the church stepped in, not to protect Emanuela, but him. Another theory, far darker, involves a covert ring of influence that used girls like Emanuela for entertainment of visiting diplomats or church elites. No evidence has ever substantiated this theory fully, but when walls are this high and files this sealed, rumors thrive in the dark. In a 2023 public address, Pope Francis broke a 40-year tradition of silence and authorized a new Vatican investigation. But Pietro wasn't convinced. Clip of Pietro from outside Vatican walls. They say they are investigating, but they still won't show us the documents. We are not looking for miracles, just bones. Even members of Italy's parliament have called for transparency. Maria Letizia Giorgi, a sitting lawmaker, told CrimeBot, "There is no justification anymore. A child disappeared. If the Vatican has nothing to hide, open the archives. Until then, every denial is an act of concealment." So here we are, 40 years later, with a city that never sleeps, a church that never confesses, and a family still walking through the valley of unanswered prayers. Emanuela Orlandi was 15. She played the flute. She liked music, the company of her siblings, and sitting under the Roman sun. She vanished from a street that thousands walk every day. She became a symbol. But more than that, she became a question that refuses to die. Is she buried beneath the stones of the Vatican? Is she buried in records still locked in the Apostolic Palace? Or was she buried the moment people in power decided her silence was safer than her voice? Some stories end with justice. Others end with a name carved in stone. But Emanuela's story hasn't ended. Not really, because as long as questions remain, and as long as people speak her name, her truth is still waiting to be found. If you're hearing this, you're part of the story now. Because silence is a choice. And you don't choose silence. You've been watching CrimeBot Chronicles. If this story haunted you, if it made you question the very foundations of power and faith, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with anyone who still believes in truth, and comment below. Do you believe Emanuela Orlandi is hidden in the Vatican? Or has the church simply hidden from her? Until next time, remember, some answers hide in plain sight. Others are buried in stone. Stay curious, stay relentless, and above all, stay human.